So what is up guys, welcome back to another banging video. I know it's been a while, I haven't uploaded in like 1 week, but I am back, and I am back with a World of Tanks Blitz tier list. But this is specifically for all the 40%ers out there. And just so you know that I am qualified to make a tier list like this, let me throw up some stats on screen that show I am a verified 40%er. So let's stop dilly-dallying and get right into the tier list. Starting things off with the 121B. I'm gonna have to say this goes into ass. Now it does have good armor, but let's be real, 40%ers don't know that it takes 10 seconds to get unspotted, so adaptive concealment means nothing on this thing. And you haven't got much flexibility with the poor gun depression, so I'm gonna have to, there are a lot of better options, we'll see later on, so that's gonna go in ass for now. Moving on to the 60 TP, and get up there. This will easily turn you into a 41%er. And what else is there to say? Big gun, good armor. Big gun, big armor. That's all there is to it. So going on to the AMX-30B, I think this is going to have to go into unwiped ass. Because I mean, armor is questionable. I mean, you're fast, you can YOLO. I mean, a bit of a little pew pew gun. It's just not the best. So moving on to AMX-50B. And this is a staple of the 40%ers, but I'm going to do a bit of a controversial thing. And I think this, oh my goodness. Bro, my laptop can barely run tiermaker.com, that's how amazing this thing is. But into, you'll get good damage. Like, you can YOLO someone and just get your clip out, you know. You're heavy, you've got all this health, so you can easily just eat all the shots and get your clip out. But it does have a long interclip and no armor. So I think we'll see later on, I think there is a much better alternative for all you 40%ers out there than this tank. But the AMX M4, this is an interesting one. I think that's probably just going to go into mediocre. Got good armor, a decent gun, so it's just mid. Not spectacular YOLOing or anything, so it's going to go mediocre. The Badger. Now Badger, I think that's going to have to be in, you'll get good damage in this thing. Like, you've got amazing armor. Like, you just go to a ridgeline, and then there you go, you won. Game complete. You just hope people don't thank you, whatever. Your team doesn't fall apart on the other side of the map. But we would prefer that sort of big damage, since this is a high DPM, lower alpha TD. So I'll say that's probably why it's not in S tier. Going on to the back chat. And back chat, I think this is probably going to be the highest ranking out of the lies. And I'm going to say this goes into, you'll get good damage. Like, you can YOLO in this thing and just get your clip out, and you will do good damage. And it is quite overpowered. I think it's overpowered in a good player's hand, which is why I won't put that in. It will turn you into a 41%. And Caro, in a similar vein, I think you can get good damage with this thing. You can't play it like a, you know, the staple 40% tank, the TVP. Since if you've done that last clip, you're just finished. Like -5 DPM in this thing. If you just don't dump that last shot, 380 per shot, and all right into clips like 3.5 seconds or something, and you can still dump 3 shots. So I say this, you'll still get good damage in this, and 9 degrees of gun depression, even if it hasn't got much armor. Chieftain, I think this is another mediocre tank. In a skilled player's hand, it's amazing, but a 40%er, I mean, armor it's all right. Got the hatch, which will get exploited a lot, and low damage as well. It's not really good for a 40%er, so we'll say mediocre for this one. Could even argue ass, but I'm gonna keep it in there for now. Concept 1B. Now this is another one. You just go to the ridgeline and you win. I think I'll have to say you'll get good damage in it. Because again, the low damage per shot, you'll probably see is a bit of a theme with the alpha damage and how high a tank goes depending on it. I think you'll get good damage of it. Just play hold down. It's very simple gameplay. CS63. I think I'm gonna have to go unwiped ass again. I think it'd be an unwiped ass even if this tier list was for skilled players. The tank is just not good for anyone or anything. There's nothing else to say there. E100, oh, you know where this is going. Get up there. It's the same as 60 TP. Big tank, big gun, big damage, and good armor. Plus, if you guys just figure out, just turn the turbo a bit. Every E100 I see, they just face straight at you, so you can just easily pen the turbo. Just turn it at like a 45-degree angle. Make it a bit difficult to pen, alright? So going on to E50M. Ooh, I'm tempted to put this in, will turn you into a 41%er. And you know what, I think I'm gonna. It's going to be the first medium to go up there. So you're a medium, and you've got like the armor of a heavy tank. This is perfect for YOLOing, because you can ram as well. All the armor, decent gun. It's great. It's like, this will turn you into a 41%. Now the Fosh. I think this might be unwiped ass, I can't lie. The interclip is just too long. You might be better off with the stock gun, honestly. If you're a 40%, I reckon the stock gun is actually viable for this thing. It is just not very good. Well, I will say, you do big damage though. And I think that is enough to put it into ass. It's not unwiped. Oh, now this is the most infamous one. But another controversial one. I think this is only in you'll get good damage. Like, yeah, you can pen one shot and you're probably like guaranteed to not do bottom of your team after you lose. That is going to be most of your games. Like, it's not exactly going to turn you into a 41%, is it? Like, the gun is just way too inaccurate. You'll see there is a better version later on. But 183, not S tier unfortunately, even if there is, this tier list is for 40%ers. It's FE215B. This, I'm going to have to say, this might even be unwiped ass. Like a heavy with hardly any armor. You've got turret armor. You've got good DPM. Ooh, and you've got good DPM and reactive armor. So this thing actually can of YOLO. So for that, I think I'd have to go put it in the ass. Because that has happened once to me. When I was in a game and some guy legit just came at me with like speed boost, reactive, and adrenaline all activated simultaneously for the YOLO. He did still somehow lose, but we won't talk about that. Don't want to embarrass him. But moving on to the FE4005. We're probably also going to see a theme. All the auto-loaders are just going to go and you'll get good damage. It's hard to do bad in these things. You have to be truly trash at this game if you do bad in an auto-loader. And what, you get out one clip and you do 1600 damage. And you're gonna be on like third on the team. With the kind of teams you get in like modern day climate. You just got to be a bit careful though, since it is a giant box and you're just going to get hate-cheated by everyone. But always remember, never use Spowliner. Spowliner is a waste of a slot. You can run double fuel instead. Never use Spowliner, always remember that. Same thing for the grill when we get to that. The FP4202. I'm going to have to say unwiped ass. Like, you haven't got much armor. And you've got Hesh. Hesh just adds like complexity to a tank that we don't really want. Even if Hesh does mean bigger damage. It's hard to pen, you know, when you're a 40%er. That's why I'm going to leave it down there and unwiped ass. The grill. As I said, the 4005, never use Spowliner. But grill for a 40%er. Or you can just like sit at the back of this thing. And that's kind of what you're meant to do. So you don't really look like you're bad when you do that. So I'm going to have to put it in mediocre. If you just sit at the back of the map, get a good map like Canal, Castilla, it's actually pretty good. Now the Hori. Ooh, this is an interesting one. I'm gonna have to say mediocre. Well, actually, nah, you'll get good damage because it's only like you lose like 15 damage when you load gold. Just load all gold, and you will never bounce a shot ever again when you play this tank. It's that simple. Like you can pen like the whole of like VK72 of this thing's gold. Like, it is crazy. So moving on to the IS4, I believe. Yes, the IS4. See, back in the day when this thing was heavily armored, it'd be in S tier. But now I'm gonna have to say probably mediocre. I've got alright DPM. They recently gave it super speed boost, which does allow for better YOLOing, but you haven't got much whole armor. It's just mediocre, I'd say. Now the IS7, well, IS7 is a classic. Will this turn you into a 41%er though? I don't think so. It's got good turret armor. You never get pen there. It's got good armor all around, and you do have the void, your side armor. Like, you will probably bounce like 50% of shots when you just come side on, and because of that, you know, I think you should just drive side on round corners. You know, don't side script, just drive straight round the corner, showing your entire side, because they will probably bounce even if you're against a 183. Just drive straight out, show him your side, corner cut out, whatever, and shoot him. I promise you will not get ammo racked. I promise you that. But anyways, moving on to the Jagdpanzer, and this is what I was talking about, the better 183. Easily will turn you into a 41%. Now what, with tungsten you roll for 900 anyways, so you're basically doing 183 standard damage, and then you get all the armor on top of it. Much more accurate. This thing never misses snapshots. I swear this thing is more accurate when it's snapping shots, when it's fully aimed in. There is just the better version of the 183, the optimized version. I will say that will turn you into a 41%er. And the Kampfpanzer 50 ton. I think that's actually going into mediocre. Just because the combination of adrenaline with tungsten and it also just having much better DPM than CS63 and better armor does bump it up 2 tiers actually. Because this thing is very effective at YOLOing, just like one tank. Because you will out DPM them. You've got like 5,000 of adrenaline and tungsten activated. So I think that's a solid mediocre. Now Kranvart. This is what I was saying about the better 50B. I don't know why all you 40%, you just YOLO into the front lines of the 50B, get your clip out, die. Play Kranvart. This time you can just YOLO to the ridgeline and people will not be able to pen you while you dump your clip. Although you do have to be aware your DPM is pretty tragic if you do dump. So try not to do that all the time, but the option is there and you just get far better armor than the 50B. I don't know why 40% is the catch on. I'll start playing the Kranvart more because it is just better 50B. Anyways, the Leopard, one of the worst win rate tier 10s for a reason, because it's unwiped ass. You've got no armor, you're probably going to get HE'd in this thing, on the lower plate and the sides. We've got good DPM, we've got a good gun. That's about it. The armor is just too tragic for this to be any good for a 40%er. So moving on to the Yo. Now the Yo, it's an interesting one. I think it's just you'll get good damage. Like all the autoloaders are going to be there. I don't think a single autoloader is going to go lower than you'll get good damage. Because all you do, if you get out like 2 clips, then you've done solid. Just YOLO someone, clip them, make you get out a second clip before you die, and you're set. And then this, I believe, M48 pattern. Yeah, because it's next to M60, so for this one I'm going to have to say, I'll say mediocre. You've got the good armor. It's just good at, it's sort of just decent at everything. But it hasn't really got something that pops out. And there's no crazy alpha damage. You know, that's what you want. No big clip. That's what you need for effective YOLOing. That's why I go in there. I'm gonna have to say go same with M60. M60 sort of just slightly worse. M48 pattern. And then the mouse. All you do is just drive at people at like a 45-degree angle, turret facing a 45-degree angle, and no one knows how to pen this thing. It's just that simple. So easily it'll turn you into a 41%er. And what, you've got 3k health. You can get caught lacking so many times and still have health to spare. Like, it's just too easy in the mouse. The Minotauro. As long as you're careful with how you use your clip, you obviously don't want to dump, and you've got the cracked armor. So I'm tempted to put that and will turn you into a 41% because of that armor. Like all those bots you don't load gold are just never going to pen you. And you know what, for that reason, I think it just barely gets into, will turn you into a 41%. Just barely on the cusp, I'd say. But anyways, going on to, bro, what is this tank? The Object 140, I think. Really showing my amazing tank knowledge here, but I think that's the 140. That's got like a 4-second reload, low alpha. So not the best really. These sort of little pew pew gun tanks with high DPM, they're all going to go into unwiped ass. It's just all mediums and unwiped ass. That's all it's going to be, is mediums and light tanks down here. Just for the rest of this tier list. But anyway, moving on to Object 260. I probably have to another mediocre. Even in like a regular tier list for skill players, it'd probably be a mediocre, just a mid tank. Now, Object 263, my personal favourite, the YOLO Mobile. I think this has to go up there. I'm putting this into will turn you into a 41%. All you have to do is just figure out the positions where you can hide the hull, or not the hull, hide the lower plate. It is just a hull down tank that only has 4 degrees of gun depression, and no one knows how to pen this thing. As long as you don't go against like something of crazy heat that can go through the gun, man, like, nobody will pen you in this thing. And you can just YOLO. And let's be real, 40%ers, they do not know about the weak spot, like on the superstructure at the bottom of it. So yeah, it's called the YOLO backend for a reason, because it is one of the best at YOLOing. So for that reason, it's going to S. Object 268. I think it's just a solid tank. I think it'll get good damage in it. 690 alpha, very good. Oh, the best camo as well. It's the best camo in tier 10, or is it just the best camo for a tank destroyer? I don't remember. But it's got amazing camo. So you can just camp at the back in this thing. And bonk people, as Druiders would say. So I'd say, yeah, you'll get good damage with it. Nothing, not crazy. It's not like YAG kind of damage, which is why I wouldn't put it into, we'll turn you into a 41%er. But then also it has no armor. Unless you're in a 111.58 using gun rummer. I remember I looked at a regular 268, it was all red even with gold. I was gobsmacked. But anyways, speaking of 268s, I've got the 268 version 4 and you already know where this is going. Easily will turn you into a 41%er. Just face directly at people, they can't pen you. Simple as. It's all the gameplay is, just YOLO someone, look straight at them, they aren't penning you. Simple. It's like a less complex version of the 263. Plus higher alpha, so you don't even need to pen as many shots, it's just easier. Bit troll accuracy, but you can work around that. And the 777, oh, this is an interesting one. I think I'm gonna have to put that into you'll get good damage. Because you've got amazing armor, got solid DPM, good pen, it's just solid. I'd say you could probably YOLO someone in this thing, bit of angling, they might struggle to pen you. It's just a solid tank. But the Object 907, I believe. It's a medium, let's just put it on my ass. It's probably not going to be good for a 40%er. Progetto. I don't think we've even gotten to the TVP yet, but this is the better TVP. I don't know why people are still YOLOing in the TVP in 2024 when you can YOLO in the Progetto and then still have clips after you YOLO them. It's genius. I don't know why people even bother with the TVP when you've got the Progetto. It's just better. It's like the same with the Grand Bar and the 50B. People, they need to switch over and start YOLOing in this thing. In fact, I've been YOLO'd by this thing so many times in recent times. So clearly they've caught on. Now the Sheridan and the Sheridan missile. Ooh, I'm tempted to put this in, it will turn you into a 41%er. I'm gonna have to say it will just get you good damage. Because you just appear behind someone and boom, you get out that like 560 alpha or whatever. And then you run away. It's just, you haven't got armor. You aren't actually gonna be winning with this thing. You know, you'll be getting out your damage, but will it really bump you up to a 41%er? I don't think it will. And the same for the Sheridan missile. People know 40%er is going to figure out how you aim those missiles. They probably didn't even know it had missiles. That's always just a change in the name. But anyways, moving on to the STB. Yeah, this is easily will turn you into a 41%er. This is the most brain dead medium in this game. You just drive to a ridgeline and you've got the most gun depression in tier 10. It's just so free. You can easily hit people's lower plates over the ridge without even showing your weak lower plate. Or even your hull, because you just have so much gun depression. It's ridiculous. They need to nerf it to like 10 degrees or something. But yeah, that will easily turn you into a 41%er. It's actually the first, oh no, it's not the first, the second medium. Or the third medium, I forgot about E50M. But anyways, moving on to Trisvan K, the medium and the heavies. I'm gonna have to say that's probably gonna go into ass. And when you choose a heavy, it's because you want a heavy. You don't want this sort of mediocre armor. Little pew pew gun. It's the lowest damage for a heavy tank. Unless there's 50, I swear 50B does 380, so yeah, I think it is the lowest. It's not particularly good at YOLOing. It's just ass. Super Conqueror. Ooh, I think Super Conqueror might have to go into turn you into a 41%er. Similar to like STB, where it's just so easy to play. Because you've got 10 degrees of gun depression. And you've just got cracked armor everywhere. On your turret, your hull, your sides. Playing hull down and side script. It's just this tank is just the easiest thing ever. Even I go 60% in it, but I'm normally like a 50%er. That will easily turn you into a 41%er. Might turn you into a 42%er. And now, moving on to the T100 LT, I think. Yeah, looks like it. Unwiped TAS. Almost all the light tanks are going to be going down here. It's just a little pew pew gun. You've got the tracer shells. That's not going to help you YOLO someone, is it? So yeah, unwiped TAS. A T110E3. Ooh, that's up there. Get up there, will turn you into a 41%er. You've just got so much armor. Like people have no clue how to pen this thing. Like all you do, just go to ridgeline and you win, just like that. Like, the armor is so cracked. Plus you do so much damage as well in this thing. It will easily turn you into a 41%er. So moving on to the T110E4. I think that might have to be, will turn you into a 41%er as well. Just you trade a bit of the armor and a bit of the damage for the flexibility of having the turret instead of being a fixed tank destroyer. And I think it has a bit better mobility as well. So yeah, I think that will turn you into a 41%er as well. So moving on to the T110E5. I would say it's sort of just like a lesser super conqueror. Like you'll still be dominant on the ridge lines. I feel like you've got what? Like 1 degree less gun depression or 2 degrees less. I would say you'll get good damage in this thing. It's a very solid tank. It's not particularly great at YOLOing, but you know you can just go to a ridge line and it's just light work. So for that reason you'll get good damage in this thing. Moving on to, I believe, the T22 medium. Yeah, it looks like it. This thing has kind of cracked armor for a medium as well. I've gotten some ridiculous bounces on this thing. So I will probably say mediocre. Like you've got the good armor. That's really about it though. And it's not like as good as the E50M, and the E50M just outclasses this in YOLO potential. So I'd say that's like mediocre. T57 heavy. Oh, get up there. Will easily turn you into a 41%er. You've got the most troll turret imaginable. It's like a 1 in 3 chance you'll pen this thing's turret with all the random little voids. And you're a clipper. You're auto-loading heavy. That's just a recipe for no skill needed. So what else is there to say? Will turn you into a 41% easily. And now I believe the T54. I think that's another like mediocre tank. Got good turret armor. It's sort of just a standard medium though. Arguably going to ass though, but I'm gonna leave it in mediocre for now. T95E6. I think that's unwiped TAS. Yeah, I think that's the first hit being unwiped TAS as well. Like you don't do much damage. You put that giant tumor of a hatch on top. Because of that, you essentially haven't got much armor. It takes skill to play the tank, and for that reason, unwiped TAS, we don't like skill over here on this channel. Speaking of skill, TV skill, the best tank in the game. Also the 40% distinct, Progetto is much better at YOLOing. So for that reason, you'll get good damage. Still as great as ever, just YOLO someone, clip them, die. You ruin their game. Your team might lose, but you still ruin that person's mood. So you'll get good damage. The Type 71. Ooh, now this is actually solid. I'm tempted to say you turn you into a 41%er, but you do have to know a bit of angling. It's not too difficult though. It's almost there, I'd say. It is almost there. So for now, I'll say get good damage. It's really just the armor that puts it up there. All you do is just wiggle and people will just bounce you all the time. YOLO people wiggle and it's light work. Let's move on to Vickers Light unwiped TAS. I don't think I need to justify why it's unwiped TAS. VK72. Now this, is this gonna go into, will turn you into a 41%er? I think it will. It's got, after the DPM buff, it's got solid DPM, got tungsten, that's always good. Your German super heavy, always good. You can't go wrong with the German super heavy. Like, they all will turn you into 41%ers. Speaking of VK90, easiest tank to play. get right up there. All you do is just side scrape and you win. The hatch is ridiculously troll for no reason. Has really small turret cheeks. Makes it way harder to pen than something like a mouse or an E100. The lower plate is ridiculously strong for no reason. Like if you angle this thing, you will probably bounce a lot of people's standard shells on the lower plate. It's just a cracked tank. Even in the regular tier list it would be up there. Now VZ55. I think that might just go into mediocre. It's sort of a jack of all trades tank. Sort of just solid everything, but doesn't really excel at anything. It has what, combat stabilization, not particularly great. That takes no effect via your full speed YOLO something over a ridgeline, so it doesn't really help the tank out that much. But it's still got solid armor. It's got high alpha, which is pretty good, decent accuracy as well for the damage. So I'd say mediocre. Now the 111 5A. I'm gonna have to say unwiped ass as well. You just have no armor. All you have is the turret armor. Oh, and the pen as well is abysmal. As I said earlier, I was using gun rammer on this thing. A regular 268, I could not pen that thing with gold at certain angles. It was ridiculous. When you want to YOLO someone, when you're a 40%, you just want armor. It's that simple. Like all the tanks up here, like which tanks up here don't actually have any armor? None. The Projectile, that's it. And Projectile, that's just because you YOLO someone and ruin their game. It was great at that. That's why it's up there. But aside from that, everything else here, it's very heavily armored, except like T57, I guess. So yeah, it's just you want armor to be good for 40%ers, and 5A does not have that armor, nor the pen. Speaking of armor, 113 GFT. I think this has to be up there. Now after they overbuffed this thing, it's just like, oh yeah, why would you play 268 when you can just trade a bit of that damage and camo and just get like some of the most cracked armor in this game? You just play hold down and no one's penning you. Big gun, that's always good. So yeah, well, this will definitely turn you into a 41%er. WZ113. I think that's gonna have to go into another mediocre. It's got decent armor, incredible pen, good DPM as well. Sort of just it's mediocre. I mean, all good DPM. You could YOLO. It's got decent alpha, it's like 400, right? But I'd say it's not really as good as anything, and you'll get good damage. I'd say it's just a mediocre tank. Now the WZ120. Now, this is actually pretty good. Like, this is an underrated one for you 40%ers out there. Like 420 alpha on a medium, with only like an 8-second reload. And you've got tungsten. This is a very underrated. I think this will turn you into a 41%er. This is very underrated for you 40%ers out there. You just YOLO someone with adrenaline and tungsten activated in this thing. They're finished. You might also be finished, but you've ruined their game, and that's the goal. The goal isn't to win, the goal is to ruin somebody else's game. And winning, that's a benefit, you know. Like, I think it's definitely will turn you into a 41%er. So you will have a lot of successful YOLOs with this thing, I'd say. The only bad thing is like the accuracy. The aiming time is quite cracked though. Like, it doesn't feel all that inaccurate unless you're trying to snipe with this thing. But yeah, moving on to our final tank here, unwiped ass, no explanation needed. So anyways, that is my tier list finished. For all you 40%ers out there, this is absolute, this is better than any tier list Droodles will make, and Martin Mater should like this as well, because look at all this spread out tanks. It's not just every single tank in S tier that Droodles won. So this is for all you 40%ers out here. These are all the tanks that you should be looking out for, all the tanks you should be researching or gambling for in crates, whatever. Most of these are text remakes, so you know, clearly a pay to win game. But anyways, that will do it for today's video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the bell, share this with friends, and all that good stuff.